Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is episode 21 of this trailer camper conversion project. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
The roof is going on today.
So progress update. The back of the camper, all of these metal flashings are in. The other side I think needs just a few more, but we're almost done. And inside here, this is still a little sticky because we only had so far 2 coats of this, and the goal is to have maybe at least 4 coats to cover up any of the cracks that are still showing. It's for waterproofing. And then in terms of switches, it looks like all switches are finally installed and outlets. I thought that Kyle might want to install one more outlet here, but he may have changed his mind. But all the switches are in. There's 2 switches there. Everything is done. And at some point we're gonna get ready to put the foam boards in so we can put up the walls. And finally, the duct for the fan light exhaust is also connected. This is what the camper looks like from the front. We still haven't figured out this area here, but now there's only very little space that we need to cover up.
You know what I was thinking on that, actually? The reason I have a bunch of towels is because the roof is wet. But I was actually thinking on this, Pam, I was thinking, oh, I'll just put a flush plate here and fill it all in. But this is sticking out just a little bit, but I have those leftover metal shingles that you showed on the back. I was thinking I could create a little offset here and then just put it over and just kind of close this area off. And any plenum space in there, just essentially foam it up real good and then liquid rubber around a lot of it. But, you know, we'll see. This isn't attached to anything right now. So if we try to foam this, the foam as it expands will push this out. So we would have to put some blocks in here and then at least tack it at some point a couple of times so it doesn't bend it too much. But we'll figure it out. It's not that urgent. It can be done in a couple hours when we're done with everything else. So.
Did you want to talk about the electrical?
Oh yeah, this outlet, previously this outlet, the front one was switch controlled because we had intended to plug in the pump that's in the back of the truck where the water tank is, also in the back of the truck here. So the pump plugs in here, you flip the switch on, it turns on the pump and it pumps the water into the camper. Then I got to thinking, well, we have also a mini 6-gallon camping electric water heater in the back of the truck too. I'm gonna have to get out of the camper and go turn that on and then come in, and then I can control the pump with the switch. But when I'm done showering, I'm gonna have to go back outside and turn the water heater off so it's not draining the generator all night. So what I did was I just snapped the connector tab between these 2 outlets and wired up this other one to another switch. It's also a lighted indicator switch. So now you can turn on both the hot water heater and the pump from inside. So just a last minute change, and it took a little while because everything was already sealed up here and inside as well. So just, you know, a few more holes, a few more sealant tubes, but it's done now. It'll be really nice, especially if it's cold or rainy outside. So this is the insulation we're going to be using. It's XPS insulation. I don't know what that stands for, but it's extruded polystyrene, I guess. Anyway, it's supposed to be incredibly moisture resistant. That's a big problem for a lot of types of insulation, is they really don't like to get wet. They either fall apart or they'll hold or whatever. Supposedly this thing is awesome for moisture resistance, and it's really easy to deal with. It weighs all of like 5 pounds for this massive sheet, and I just have a drywall knife. So while I'm doing the other stuff, I'm probably going to have Pam go through with just the drywall knife and cut out quick sections. A lot of the walls already have nails protruding through them, so you'll just take the thing and push it into the nails and that'll secure it. But we'll also put a little bit of foam board sealant on it to help glue it in. We have 2 sizes here, 2-inch and 1-inch. So depending on the thickness of the space, we may do one, other, both. It'll help. We'll just put basically as much insulation in it as possible. That'll help keep it warm. I'm not too worried about heat. We're going to have a pretty awesome heater anyway, so yeah, be good.
And here's Kyle installing the roof now. Here is how it's looking right now. So I'm using the 2-inch thick foam boards for the base, and then I just put a 1-inch thick foam board on top, and then whatever is still showing after that, like over here, whatever is still showing in terms of space, I'm just gonna put some Great Stuff foam to fill the gaps in. I want to show you guys close up right there. I could just put some Great Stuff foam there. I'm basically doing this on all the little nooks and crannies that you guys see there. So it's gonna look like this. It's a little tedious because there's a lot of measuring. Every space is different, so every space needs its own measurement. And then after I measure it in there, I gotta go out here and put the measurements out here, label it, mark it, cut it, and then test fit it first before I put the glue, because once I put the glue, then it's over. And so it takes a lot of time, even though it doesn't look like it. It's actually very tedious. So now it's time to test fit. Make sure that the measurement's correct. And there you go. So I just have to put the glue on. There's nails sticking out of here, so it makes it easier, but it's not enough sometimes to hold it in place. So in the beginning, I started doing the back and the front on each piece, but I think now I'm just gonna do the back first, and basically the thicker foam board first until I fill everything out, and then I'll do the front. Check out the progress. I'm actually running out of the foam boards. Once again, it's hard to calculate how much we really need. And for places like these, I'm just gonna Great Stuff foam it because it's too complicated to put foam boards on that. I still have to do this side, some of this sides, and then the double layers on this side still needs to be done, and definitely the roof. I think Kyle went overboard with the nails on the roof. So yeah, the front is looking great. It's basically done, literally, except for this part here. The bottom probably needs some trimming or whatever Kyle plans to do with that. Here is Kyle, and he cut the wheel well. He's working on the wheel well. I'm still working on the foam boards inside the camper.
It went really well. We got really lucky, actually. The tube, if you all remember, there was a main tube that everything is mounted to here. It is literally right here, and we just got super lucky that the fender fits right under it, so that was actually perfect. And then I'm putting this rock guard on the bottom to help preserve the wood and prevent it from getting torn up as we go down the road, and help drip water all the way down. So,
and here is how the other side looks like.
So this is the semi-finished roof. It is sheets of galvanized steel, and I'll be putting this on it, which is a 100% silicone roof coating. Should be pretty interesting. I've never used that product before, but it says it's good for RV roofs and trailer roofs and pretty much any kind of roof. So we continued the theme of using finish nails to tack the metal down, because underneath here is a layer of Tyvek that is a last resort against any leaks in case it penetrates through. Now, with this being thin metal sheeting, obviously we do have some issues with that. Like right here, you can see an edge has lifted up. So I I'm not sure what I'll do about that. Maybe I'll go back through and tack it down a few more times. Hit it with a hammer, try to straighten it out a little bit. Yeah, anyway, so I think what'll happen is I'll put this coating on, the first coat of it, and see how it turns out. If it kind of fills in gaps like that, then that's great. If not, then I have a caulk version of this that is designed to sort of fill in gaps and cracks, and I'll try that next. And if that still doesn't work, then I'll just, pipe some elastomeric compound in there and try that. So we'll see how this all turns out. Time to put this on. I'll be using an adhesive roller. The directions say to use a 1-inch nap roller, but I've read some stuff online that says people have had more luck with an adhesive roller, so who knows.
Okay, the sides are pretty much done. There's some spaces that I could definitely put more in, but I ran out of the thin foam boards, so we'll have to run to the store to do that. But in the meanwhile, I still have a little bit left of the thicker foam boards, so I'm planning on finishing the roof, or sorry, not finishing the roof, but finishing off the foam boards that's left over for the roof. There was a lot of shaving, so it looks like I went through like sprinkles or something, but it's looking good. You can see where there's a bunch of holes left over that could sure use some more. And places like this, I'm just gonna once again just do great stuff foam, because it's really hard to squeeze in the foam boards through these spaces. Kyle is doing a second coat, right?
Actually, I ran like 6 inches short on the first one.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah. So
and then I got to do the sides too. But yeah, I'm
pretty much ready
much
for
done.
the second coat.
We got the wheel wells pretty well done. We're just going to reuse the old ones. They're pretty beat up, but they can definitely be salvaged. Just a couple coats of paint would be okay. Strip it with the pressure washer. I ended up drilling a series of holes here. This side I did second, the left side. But on the first one, a couple of them I tested by drilling all the way into the camper. I didn't like where it ended up. One of them just barely poked out of the floor. The other one was in a weird spot on the wall by the scabbing board, so I didn't really like that. What I think I'm going to do, instead of penetrating these long standard bolts all the way into the camper, I'm just going to get 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch toggle bolts with the little snaps, heavy duty ones, and they'll just ride on this piece of exterior plywood here inside, in between the foam and the interior. So it will meld this to this very tightly without actually penetrating all the way into the camper, which keeps a layer of water resistance. Now before I put the toggle bolt in there, I'll probably stuff a bunch of stuff in there, like elastomeric compound or maybe even some foam. That way it kind of seals it behind it. And then right before I do that as well, I'm actually going to paint this whole thing with liquid rubber, just to have one last barrier. This is going to be a very wet area. If you imagine driving down the road in a driving rainstorm, this will be one of the wettest areas right here because of the tire kicking it all up. So want to give it a lot of resistance. But yeah, so there's going to be a couple of them. These things are really old, they're bent up. I wasn't expecting to use them, so when I removed them, I wasn't exactly gentle, but they'll be just fine. A little bit of grinder work will be all good. Over here, same thing. This one and this one are the ones that I penetrated all the way into the camper. So what I did was I went in the camper and filled up those holes from the inside with that elastomeric compound. I'll let that set real nicely for a while, and then I'll go through and shave off the excess. It'll be all good. It'll be like it never happened. And then same thing over here, we'll use a bunch of toggle bolts, so should be good.
I finally ran out of foam boards. Over here you'll see that I was only able to put foam boards on this side, but we still need to put foam boards all the way lining the roof and the bathroom walls. So we're gonna have to delay the foaming some other time. What we can do today maybe is start to put the walls in, but that's a little complicated because we did not pre-drill the holes for the actual panels. So it's going to be tricky putting them on now because we don't know where the holes are without measuring it precisely. Because once you cover this, you're not going to know where it is. It looks like Kyle has a plan already on how to fix that problem.
So if you imagine you take the interior plywood, the utility plywood, and just put it over here, you're going to cover up where these are. What we should have done is put it here, pre-drilled the holes, and then gone back and put these in, but we were in a rush. So what I think I'm going to do is mark the center of this stud right here on this plywood, because this plywood is not getting covered up by the utility plywood. The utility plywood is going to ride right on top of it. So I'll mark each side of the stud as well as the center, and then we'll follow the stud up, and up here we'll do the ceiling last, so we'll be able to see where the stud comes out, right? So I'll mark that, and then I'll run a surveyor's line right down the center, and that should follow the stud. So even once the plywood is on, I should be able to run the surveyor's line and see exactly where it is. And then we'll have pre-recorded how far up is each T-nut from the treated plywood. So for example, if this one's 12 inches and this was 21 and a half and 48 and a quarter or whatever, we'll have that all written down, and we'll go through with the drill bit and gently drill it without penetrating into the T-nut. It'll be okay if we're off by a little bit, because each bolt that goes into these threaded inserts is going to have a nice fender washer on it that will be a good inch in diameter, whereas the bolt is only like, I don't know, a quarter or less in diameter. So we'll have a lot of wiggle room there. If we're a little bit off, it should be totally fine. I know somebody's going to comment, these are T-nuts, not threaded inserts. You should have used threaded inserts. I know, but I couldn't find any threaded inserts anywhere, and so we're using T-nuts. For the teeny tiny little load that this has and the number of them that we used, it should be perfectly fine. And, use what we can get. So this is the roof, the first coating. It's 100% silicone RV tropical roof sealant. It's moisture cure, so this feels extremely wet right now. So before I put the second coat on, I'm going to go through and dry it off and try to remove some of this excess moisture. But it looks like it worked really well. That's a seam right there, and it looks 100% covered. Even the nails have been covered up really well. Let's see, I have to be gentle on this ladder, but let's see how this one did, because I was worried about this one. It looks like it mostly sealed it. Little ridge there, but I think the second coat should be able to take care of that nicely. Filled in all the holes, filled in the nails. Yeah, that stuff is great. Hopefully it holds up over time, but right now seems to be great. The door is having an issue at the moment. It is no longer fitting appropriately. Now we jacked the camper up yesterday to do the wheel wells, and I think in doing so it may have shifted things just ever so slightly, because there really wasn't that much of a gap down there to begin with. I kind of knew that was going to be a problem. I was hoping that it would be a problem that I could deal with later rather than sooner, but I guess what it means is I'm just going to have to go through there and make another 20 passes with the planer and get it down. There's going to be a backer board here that's at least half an inch high, so the amount of gap under there is going to be totally irrelevant. This is all getting liquid rubbered, and the seal will be here, so there should have been a bigger gap there to begin with anyway, but there wasn't, and I was hoping I could just get away with it for a little while, but nope. And then the other more complicated one is, I'm guessing the jack had something to do with it, because now the top of this is riding.
So Kyle finished the second coating on the roof, and now he's putting in the trim pieces around the outlet. So this is what it looks like afterwards. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it didn't turn out too bad, huh?
So Kyle also tucked in this trim piece here.
This one's the best one over here.
Oh
These
yeah,
two.
this looks cleaner.
Yeah.
Looks way cleaner now. We hope that you guys enjoyed these videos. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, ride safe everybody.
See ya.
Don't forget to leave comments. Bye.